everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We have a lot of news to get into as usual, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
What's up, everybody? It's Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey guys, it's your girl Britt Johnson. You can follow me everywhere at I am Britt Johnson. The holiday did not get me, Jackie. Jackie, what day is today? It's Taco Tuesday.
We didn't forget. High five, Britt. Yes, all of that.
Great job. Great job. Chris and I are ready to go for tomorrow. We practiced over the weekend.
Hopefully.
We got it, Chris. I'm not forgetting this time. It happened once, it won't happen again.
All right. That's right. That's what I like to hear. Yeah.
You guys, quickly before we jump into our news stories for the day, I just want to hear how everybody's long weekend was. Chris, did you have a nice day off yesterday?
I did. It was spent with spending time with the family and playing a lot of 2K. Thanks for taking all my time up, NBA 2K21.
We knew that's what we'd be up to.
As well.
Say what?
I said, are you teaching your daughter how to play 2K already, or what?
Not yet. We're on the real hoop right now. We're not ready for the sticks yet, but she's working on. Her jump shot's already good, man. I'm a proud daddy. Let me tell you, her jump shot already looking good. Yeah, we're working on it.
Aww.
I love it. And Jackie, how was your weekend? Did you do anything special?
I didn't do anything special. I was super bummed yesterday that Denver didn't beat the Clippers because they should have won that game. They beat themselves. But other than that, we had a good time. We had some friends over and we social distanced, sort of, kind of. Yeah.
Great job. And then Britt, how was your weekend?
Hot, and even hotter. It was so hot in LA this weekend. I tried to do like a little brunch with some friends, and everywhere in LA is outside only eating, and it was a bad idea because it was really hot, very hot. But yesterday I just went on like a boat with some friends and hung out, and it was a lot cooler yesterday. I was like in Long Beach, and it was only like 75, so it was like a good place to kind of cool down from this really, really insanely hot weekend.
Could you smell the smoke on the boat? Because we tried to have like a little get together too, and outside with misters and the whole nine, but it's just the smell of smoke kept bothering the folks with allergies, so that didn't work out.
Yeah, so we didn't really smell it too much, but in the morning when we did get to the boat, there was like soot all over the boat, so we had to like clean it off and stuff like that from like the day before. It was like all like dusty and like had smoke little stuff all over it, but we didn't smell it too much, and it was kind of windy too, so hopefully that kind of like cleared the air a bit, but no, it wasn't like too bad. And Long Beach is a little further down, so
right.
Well, sounds like a nice way to spend the weekend. Sounds like everybody had a chill time this weekend. We have boats, NBA 2K, gatherings with friends. Love that. But you guys, let's jump into the first need-to-know news story. So we're kind of starting things off on a downer note, and I'm sorry about that, but we have to discuss this. So despite reports that NFL teams considered signing Cap this offseason, there really was no legitimate chance that he would get a contract, at least according to Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. He said, quote, "Per a source with knowledge of the situation, there was some fake interest expressed immediately after George Floyd's death, seemingly out of guilt. There has been zero interest expressed as to Kaepernick in months." And we've heard of teams doing this in the past, and we've talked about when, a team will say, oh yeah, we're interested, we're going to sign him, and then they never actually do. But the way that this is phrased and positioned makes me feel sick to my stomach. And then Roger Goodell kind of tried to push the blame away from him and put it on to the team. So he was asked if he was unhappy that Colin was still unsigned, and he said, quote, "Those are club decisions. I've encouraged teams to evaluate that and sign him if they feel that's the case. I'm happy if Cap gets an opportunity, but teams don't usually ask me for advice on football hires." And then he was also asked if the fact that Colin Kaepernick is still unsigned undercuts the league's work on important social issues. He responded saying, quote, "No, how could it when our players are out, and for the last several years, players and teams are making important changes in their community with important programs." Which to me, that answer was just a little bit like, he didn't really know what to say. I felt like, I don't know. It just seemed using the word important so many times and not detailing any specifics, to me felt like he was kind of like, oh gosh, I don't really know how to answer that. So Jackie, I want to ask you first, is Roger Goodell doing Colin a disservice by placing the responsibility completely onto NFL teams, or is that really all he can do?
That's a good question. I mean, the alternative would be to say, hey, we really screwed up with Colin Kaepernick. He was right. Obviously, we see that. It's unfortunate that in order to kind of make ourselves feel relevant and that we are aware of this social justice movement, that we kind of had to put out this fake news about hiring him because we didn't want to seem like the jerks that you guys know we are. But he can't say that. He is the face of that franchise. So it is his job to paint them in the best light. So at some point, and I've said this time and time again, when this is all said and done, I just want to have a bunch of beers with Roger Goodell and find out where he is on it. Because I've seen him when he's with Jay-Z, I've seen him in interviews, and he always looks like he's right. He's that close to saying something else, but he always kind of pulls it back. And I've called him a puppet for years, but it's his job to maintain the face of that franchise. So I guess on one hand, I have to respect that, because if that's your job, that's what you're supposed to do. And you don't want to say, yeah, the teams aren't signing him. It's a disservice. They're wrong to do that. They're clearly still blackballing him. They're wrong to do that. Again, that's not your job. Your job is to say, if they evaluate him and think he's good, then they should move forward with that. But you can't paint your owners in the league in a bad light. That's not his job.
Mm-hmm. Britt, I want to ask you the same question that Roger was asked. Do you feel that the fact that Colin is still unsigned does undercut the efforts the NFL is making and all the shows of support that they've done for racial equality?
Not anymore, because like I said in my Britt's take before, no NFL player goes this long and then ends up getting a job. So yeah, if at the beginning, if we were talking 2 years ago, yes, he still needs to be signed, but number one, I don't think Colin Kaepernick wants to play football anymore at this point. And two, I don't necessarily want him to play football anymore at this point, because I don't want him to be put in a situation where he goes to a team and he's not the Colin Kaepernick we remember from 4 years ago, and then people get see, that's why we didn't have him anyway. You can't be this removed from the sport and expect to go in there and play at an elite level. And honestly, the last couple of drafts we've had have been quarterback heavy in the first half of the draft, and there's a lot of quarterbacks out there. There's no necessarily need to go outside and find a guy that hasn't played in 4 years and bring him back into the league. It doesn't business-wise make sense anymore for the NFL to even continue these conversations about having Cap play again. It just doesn't make sense. Nobody would do that, no matter who the player is. Nobody comes back. Deion Sanders, I said, was the only person that came back after a 3-year season. And that's because it's Deion Sanders. He's very athletic. He was still playing sports at the time as well. He was playing baseball for a little bit, this, that, and the third. But nobody comes off of 4 years and then comes back into the league and then plays great ball again. That just doesn't happen. Yeah, you see guys go to the CFL for a little bit or whatever it is, but nobody takes 4 years off of playing competitive football and comes back. So it just doesn't, business-wise for the league, it doesn't make sense to even entertain these conversations anymore. Cap is not going to be playing anymore. He's moved on. He's doing a lot better things. I'll be talking about in Britt's take some athletes and stuff that, went on to have different and better careers than football. Football is not the end-all be-all. That was not his calling. It was his calling for a little bit, and now he's moved on to another calling. So I don't think that doing anything now moving forward doesn't not matter just because Kaepernick doesn't have a job. I don't think he at this point needs to have a job.
I think the lack of
that's
apology, though. Sorry, the lack of apology is probably. I agree with Britt 100%. Like, it would be ludicrous to hire Colin Kaepernick at this point. But I think at some point, the same thing with our country. When you try to do things and you don't say, "Hey, I'm sorry for this specific thing," everything you do after that just seems like you're trying to save face, and it lacks a certain level of sincerity. So I agree with Britt. You can't. I would question anyone's motive if they hired him right now, because I would think they were hiring him so he could fail. But still, I think an apology is warranted. I get, because of the lawsuit and how they settled with that, I'm sure that there's some clause in there that says neither side can speak about it. However, I think that if you really want us to believe that you're sincere in your motives, you have to issue some sort of apology.
And really, I think the fake entertaining of it is silly now at this point. I don't like that. Like, I feel like
I'm not a fan of it
either
anymore.
whatever you can say, sorry, or whatever you need to say, but don't say like we're considering having them just because we're in this political atmosphere now where we're making a movement and a push towards Black Lives Matter or whatever. Like, don't now come out and say, just to save face for your organization, that you're thinking about signing them when it's not true. And we've said it on this channel a million times. If you're going to sign them, sign the man. I've never heard someone talk about a signing that does not happen ever. Like, we literally continue talking about this team's interested, this team. When do we ever talk about teams being interested in players and then that never happens? Like, usually it's like they're signing, like Jadeveon Clowney. We all knew this weekend he was going to the Tennessee Titans because they said, we're bringing him in, and they brought him in. They signed him right away. Like, we just don't see this. Like, that's showing fake interest in it too, because honestly, that's a slap in the face in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. And to both your points, both you and Jackie, I feel like coming out and having that apology that we so desperately want to see happen volumes and means way more than teams saying, oh yeah, we're interested, and then ultimately not signing him. So I think that combining what you two said, all that we really need now is just that sincere apology, that moment of I'm sorry, instead of the fake interest. But Chris, I want to ask you for my last question here. Do you believe that all the interest in Colin Kaepernick was fake, or do you think there were any serious inquiries going on? And does this surprise you?
In the past, I think I would say that I would believe that, even with this report, I think there was some that was real, but no, at this point, like Britt and Jackie said, at this point where there was no signing, there was no workout other than that one workout that was, really not really a workout, that I believe this report, and I feel like I've come to grips with this months ago, believing that this report, as much as I'm one of those guys that wanted him to play just because how pissed off I am with how he got given such a raw deal, but in that same breath, mentally, I know, like Britt said, he can go out there and he's probably not going to have the kind of game that we all remember Colin Kaepernick to have, because he ended off playing football, playing well. The Niners sucked, but he played well to end off his football career possibly, and knowing that he would come back, he'd be a backup, and then all the conversations all the narratives that could be made of him. So unfortunately, I feel like we've gone this far and we heard all the reports and this team and that team wanted them and it never happened. So I don't believe that there really was ever any real traction for it. And all the owners were not even scared. They just didn't want to deal with it. And now we're hearing a different song from everybody when it comes to Black Lives Matter. But still, they never really cared to bring Colin Kaepernick on their team. I don't believe it.
I think ultimately what we all want is for Colin to have that moment of redemption. And so far it hasn't happened.
That Nike contract, I think, gave him that moment of redemption, because while the NFL was trying to blackball him, now you got to wear this Nike logo, and every time that commercial comes out, he got his financial vindication. But I'm with you. It's like,
I just wish you got
I would really, and I hate to sound like I'm old school, but just keep my name out your mouth. You know what I mean? Like, don't mention my name anymore. Just go ahead on and do your thing. I'm over here doing my thing. Keep my name out your mouth.
Right.
Do you guys think that it was some sort of redemption now that like all the leagues had to like seeing? I remember when I saw the San Francisco 49ers have the Black Lives Matter flag flying in the stadium when they first put it up. Yeah. Like, I feel like Colin sitting back like, told y'all, and then even when Rodgers come out and say, okay, yes, Colin, you were right. We should have listened to you or whatever. Like, well, I apologize for not listening to you way back then or whatever. I think now everything that's happening, even though it's not necessarily directed toward direct conversations towards him or whatever they're doing in private, who knows, or whatever they're allowed to do. But I think the public thing that we all see it, all of us see it, and all of us are like, see, Colin told y'all. And I think him, himself is sitting back like, I don't even gotta say nothing no more. I don't even know you don't need to talk to me no more. Like Jackie said, keep your name out of my mouth, but you know what happened. Like everybody knows. Right. And now that everybody sees it and everybody knows, I think that has to be some kind of redemption and some kind of feeling for him that's just like, ooh, told y'all. I
hope so.
Right. For telling you years ago and nobody listening, sometimes you don't need that. I feel like he doesn't say anything. He hasn't said much about it. So I honestly think he's moved on past this part of his life, which is football and all that kind of stuff. And he's doing bigger and better things. And he's getting, to touch people more often than he would have before. And he's getting to speak out and, what his vision was starting to come to life, So I think that has to have some kind of great, feeling for him.
Yep, I agree.
I think you're right. I think he is probably getting moments of gratification here. I know I personally am still just waiting for something bigger. But you guys, let's move on to the second need to know news story. I'm just going to run through it really quickly because I found it sort of interesting. So Savannah James joined LeBron, made the cross-country trek to Orlando, but their kids are noticeably absent. LeBron explained his decision, and Leo, I had a clip that I wanted to share, but I'm not going to play it anymore. I'm just going to summarize it really quickly, so don't worry about that. But he said that he didn't because there's nothing new. He said it's not a very kid-friendly place, and they would just be bored. And I actually completely get that. From the outside looking in, the bubble seems like it could be fun for kids. They'd be able to go swimming in the pool and play video games, but ultimately that's really all they can do. Plus, LeBron's going to be busy practicing and with his games, so he won't be able to entertain his kids that much either. And, it's kind of a similar sentiment that Jimmy Butler had. He's not bringing his friends and family to the bubble because it could be a distraction. So now I guess maybe not having the kids there will make LeBron fully focused on the championship. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So Jackie, I want to hear from you. Do you think he's going to be better off, more focused, more aggressive without having his children there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, because he's a good dad, and he's gonna always be worried about they sitting in there. How long have they been sitting in front of that game playing 2K? They've been in front of that for 16 hours, right? He'd be like, oh my God, and they'd be like, oh, we found CK2K. He'd be like, who is CK? So it would be like this whole thing, and he would be so worried about them, and from a totally different standpoint, I'm sure Savannah is loving this because she's a mom. She's a full-time mom, and now she gets a full-time break. So I'm sure she's like, right. Yes, this is fantastic. Yeah. They have some time just to be husband and wife, and he gets to just focus on this championship without worrying about, what his kids are seeing on the internet. So yeah, I think this is better for both sides, better for the kids and better for him.
Baby number 4 coming. Baby number 4 coming.
I'm with it.
Oh no.
Add that they released photos of the NBA bubble children's classroom. It's very cute. It's going to be a safe little classroom for all the kids that are going, so they'll be able to still get their schooling in. So kind of sweet.
That's kind of stuck as a kid, though. You going to Disneyland to go to school. That is horrible. That is horrible.
Oh, no.
Y'all tricked me.
Right.
I know, that would be quite the disappointment. You guys, that was what need to know news. So Chris, why don't you take us into the post up?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Post Up with your boy Chris, Quarantine Edition, and you guys know what it is. We're going in on all of the social media that's been going on with some of your favorite athletes or some of your favorite athletes, and we're going to start off with Kawhi Leonard, and in my friend group we call him Kawhi Leonard because he does a lot of Michael Jordan thing, so we call him Kawhi. But yeah, man, look, people were going crazy about the block. That, the middle finger block to Jamal Murray. And first of all, shout out to Jamal Murray for really believing that you had a chance to to dunk on Kawhi Leonard. I got to give you some props for that. Your balls, all right, okay, we've seen enough, but you over here still showing stuff. But for him to go up and try to dunk on Kawhi Leonard was pretty impressive. But the result was what I expected it to be, and that was it not working. But here we're seeing a picture where a lot of people are saying that they don't think that Kawhi Leonard's lone middle finger was the reason why the dunk was missed. They're blaming it on Jamal Murray's lack of vertical and that he got blocked by the rim. So this is after the fact that you can see that the fingers being a little bent back and the ball is hitting the rim. Now, I'm going to give the credit to the finger because I still believe that the finger jimmied it to make it not be able to be blocked. Sure, if you want to talk about the whole rim block, whatever you want to say, I'm still going to give the credit where the credit was due with Kawhi Leonard. But that being said, I'm going to go to Britt Johnson first, who is the Clipper fan. I want you to give an unbiased opinion. Do you believe, now seeing this picture, I'm sure you probably already saw this picture, do you believe that the block was truly a block or was he just rim stuffed?
My guy, Chris, you said I'm going to go to the Clippers fan and ask her for an unbiased opinion.
Right. It was an attempt.
No, but I saw it from like all the angles, and when you see it like in motion and stuff, that finger stopped that paused that ball, I'm giving it to Kawhi. But I'm always gonna give it to Kawhi. But I saw it from like I kept rewatching it. They kept replaying it, but I watched it even more.
They played it over and over. Yeah, so, right.
And it literally the finger goes and the ball was gonna go, but then the finger's like, no.
That's what I'm saying. It made a difference. But Miss Denver yourself, okay, I hear you in the back talking about now. So please talk to me. You don't think that this was a block from Kawhi Leonard? You think that this was a rim stuff for Jamal Murray?
I think that if Kawhi hadn't been there, we would see the exact same thing. And then we would just be clowning Jamal because he got stuck by the rim. So, I mean, we can give it to Kawhi on paper, but in reality, the rim is like, no, that was all me.
Damn, no love to Mr. Leonard. I'm with Britt. The video footage, like, sure, you can pause so many, I would say highlights, and you can see where they ended and where they looked, and you can see that it wasn't intentionally a dunk, wasn't intentionally a block, blah, 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 blah. But in the highlight, in the moment, you see the video footage, the ball was hit from the finger, and I believe that made the difference to the point where it did get rim blocked the way it did. So I'm with Britt on this one. I'm with Clipper Nation on this one. I do believe that was all Kawhi on that block.
The Fumble, I would just like to point out the Fumble Squad does not agree because I posted this on the Fumble Instagram and I asked you guys, I asked them, I said, is this Kawhi or is this the rim? And everybody, but I think one person who I'm not sure if that was Britt's burner account, but everybody except for one person said it was the rim. So
how am I supposed to take that serious when I know that the majority of these people are Laker fans? How am I supposed to take that serious? How am I supposed to take that serious?
Thank you.
I mean, like, come on.
I have to jump in.
Please.
Okay? So I did this as my stand-up this morning, and I'm definitely in the middle finger.
That's right.
Middle finger camp.
Right. Welcome. Come on through. Yes.
I hate to say it, hate to admit it, but I do think that the finger did put a stop to it. So I think I'm the tiebreaker here. I just think because it was just something I can't explain physics. I'm not good at that.
You don't need to, Kevin. No, you said enough. You would have.
The fact that you know that from a physics standpoint, that's not explainable. That's all we have to say about this topic. I have nothing else to say.
Haters. Go ahead, Kawhi. I love the block. Now, there was another highlight in that game, and we talk about, having your family in the stands and, friends and whatnot. Well, Mr. Michael Porter Jr. had himself a nice little poster dunk, and he had his daddy in the stands watching, and he was a little bit impressed. It was pretty nice. I mean, you could have gone either way. We could have this conversation. I'm sure if I asked Britt, she might be talking about it might be team charge, and I wouldn't fight you on it, but it wasn't called, and I'm cool with the no call. But check out the poster by Michael Porter Jr. Watch Daddy at the end.
That's so beautiful.
right. He's like, you see that? You see that?
Dad likes that one.
You see that? My boy out there? Yeah, right. You see my boy out there? You see how he did that thing? I showed him that. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was a dope dunk. Rookie getting some love where there was no call there because normally, rookies, they don't get the love and they won't call that charge. Not gonna let him have his highlight, but he got his highlight and it was deserved. But sticking with the Nuggets, I love this moment from Jokic. All right, we know Nikola Jokic is one to keep it a whole buck because he will talk about his weight when he was big. He's not big no. He lost his weight. Shout out to Jokic, you looking good. But when he was big, he owned it. Said that that's just he plays better that way. Anytime he talks about anything dealing with himself, he is very, very real, and that is no different today when they're asking him about how his pace of play affects his game, and if that's just something he chooses to do, if he chooses to play slow or whatever it may be. And Jokic gave a very, very real answer in this interview. So check out Jokic.
What are you normally looking for? What are you looking to do when you first get the ball? Why are you so patient with the ball when you first get it?
I'm patient because I cannot really run fast, and then that's my only option.
I love this man so much.
I love it. It's like I can't really run fast, so I love it. Always so honest, man. I'm huge with that. I mean, it was a loss, but still, Jokic being real, and that's just who he is, and that's never gonna change. So don't change, Jokic. Fans of that over here. I love when people keep it real in the press conferences. And speaking of keeping it real, PJ Tucker out here is betting on himself when nobody else was, including myself. Now, I understand the Lakers are, finding their groove a little bit after winning their last game, but I'm not going to not talk about the fact that PJ Tucker bullied Anthony Davis, and he's a whole PJ Tucker taller than him, and he bullied him in game one. So I'm giving all the credit to PJ Tucker for having a rough job of being the center for the Houston Rockets, sitting at 6'5". Now, like I said, you can't tell me going into this series that you thought that PJ Tucker was going to do a tremendous job, knowing that the Lakers got the likes of Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Anthony Davis. Like, they got bigs over there on that team, and PJ Tucker was going to be, standing there guarding those guys and having to deal with those guys in the paint. Well, this fan straight up called out PJ Tucker. Well, not really called out. She didn't add him or anything like that. But she mentioned it on a post talking about PJ Tucker going into the series. And she she posted saying, 6'5" at the 5. Lord, that's so sad. Praying for you. And PJ Tucker saw this comment and came out and saying, you see me and a bear fighting? Help the bear. They coming in there trying to put some, Mr. Miyagi talking about but basically that little kid talking about, don't worry about me, sweetheart. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. That's pretty much what he told her, because he went in there and he handled his business and he's been doing good. I feel like he has been outshining what a lot of people were believing that he would do in this series. Yet it's only been 2 games, but I'm open that I am not a fan of the Rockets small ball crap. I'm not big on it. I don't like it. But PJ Tucker has definitely impressed me in the 2 games. And you know what? He's probably right. I probably would be a little bit worried about that bear if it came to a fight between the 2 of them. But I thought that was a funny response, especially when she didn't even at him. He had a response. Now, speaking of people who believe in themselves and been trying to tell us when people were doubting them, I'm moving over to Jimmy Butler. Now, I understand, before we even talk about this, I understand the Heat were not able to seal the deal and sweep the number 1 overall Bucks when they had it just laid right in front of them because of the unfortunate injury with Giannis Antetokounmpo. They weren't able to seal the deal there, but they most likely, or they probably will do that tonight when they play them today. But the point of the matter is, nobody, and I mean nobody, was thinking that the Heat were going to be coming into this series the way that they have been. Now, my hating self, I have not been a big salesman when it comes to the Bucks. I mean, you can check my live streams over on my channel. I've talked about it very often throughout the season. I've been saying the Bucks are a regular season team. When the 2 came together, I had said I'd pick the Heat in 7 against the Bucks. Did not see the Heat doing it like the way they're doing it right now, where I think they're probably going to wrap it up tonight. But Jimmy Butler, from the minute he signed with the Heat, he has been telling us that the Heat are going to be scary. And everybody looked at him like, all right, Jimmy. All right, let's see how that's going to work out. And he ain't wrong. He's about to do something that the Heatles were able to do. This was the last time the Heat were in an Eastern Conference final. Eastern Conference championship was when the Heatles were suited up with the Miami Heat. Put that in perspective. I understand it's the Eastern Conference, but still, nobody looked at this team saying that, Tyler Hero, a rookie. Kendrick Nunn, a rookie. Bam Adebayo, who had an okay season last year, who completely flipped it around and was, in the eyes of Britt Johnson and many others, the most improved player, and so on and so. Goran Dragic, who just injury after injury, and they're still playing well. And it's coming from a Knicks fan that's showing the Heat love. And I hate the Heat, but in that same breath, I got a lot of respect for Jimmy Butler and what that he's been doing. So this video of just Jimmy Butler just going in, like you got to do some mouth reading because obviously we don't have the audio. But he told you, try to tell her. Look at him. If you can read my professional mouth readers, go ahead. Just say I'm effing right. Say I'm effing right. Say I'm effing right. Yeah. He's pretty much saying that I told y'all we was gonna be here. I told you we was about this. Say I'm right. He was looking at all his teammates. They don't want, like, yes, Mr. Jimmy, yes, you told us. You told us, yes. Say I'm right. Hey, ball boy, say I'm right. Mop guy, say I'm right. Ref, say I'm right. Like, he was going after everybody, and Jimmy bought it. And look, man, the 76ers got swept, and Jimmy Butler seems to be doing fine on his own. So, Philly, you must be really sick right now. Anyways, moving off Jimmy Butler. We got another crazy fan. We talked about a really over-the-top fan last week here on Post Up, but this guy right here, like, Steph Curry's the kind of guy that doesn't really show when he's doesn't want to be around people. He tends to be the bubblegum Steph Curry. I talk about Steph Curry moments and blah blah blah. But you can tell in this video, Steph Curry was a little like, "Yo, man, can you give us our food and move on? I'm glad you're excited to see me, but my guy, focus on the job." Because he was in Toronto with wifey, and they went into a drive-through for this dude's shop, and he was so excited and so blown away by seeing Steph Curry at his spot, and that he pulled out his phone and started recording them in the middle of Steph Curry's order. Check out Steph Curry in this video.
Bro, I didn't know this guy was in Toronto. That's crazy. Whoa,
this dude is on the job.
What do you say? They're good.
He's like, yeah, it's me. All right, Steph Curry. Now, excuse me. Can we talk now? I'm here for a reason. I don't know. These people, man, be losing their minds when they see celebrities. So they're like, I'd be hyped. But I can guarantee you, I'm not on the job talking about, oh, Steph Curry, yo, I can't believe this, man, yo, hey. That's just not me. So it's crazy. But hey, he's in Toronto. I guess I didn't know that Aisha is Canadian. Okay, so maybe that's the reason why they're there. I just learned that today. I'm today years old, so maybe that's why they're in Toronto, or maybe Steph to the Raptors. I don't know. But shout out to the fan that's super excited to see Steph Curry, I guess. I don't know. Good for you, my guy. But this one right here, bring on the we got a few pretty cool moments coming here on Post Up, starting with Deshaun Watson, who got paid. He got his extension. I'm happy for him, but I'm a little worried for him at the same time because I feel like that's taking some money away from getting this boy some weapons, because that's what he desperately needs for the Texans. But nonetheless, I'm very, very happy for Deshaun Watson to get paid the way he did. And while he was talking about it in his press conference, he was surprised by his family, and he got really, really emotional. And check out this cool moment between him and his family congratulating his new contract. Dog.
Thank you, appreciate it.
For all that grinding, boy, done paid off, boy. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you, bro.
No.
We got all the keys to the offense now. Go to the Super Bowl.
Congratulations, I love you. And Auntie just got to say something on behalf of your mama and this whole family. Your mama's so proud of you and for what you have become. And we know God gonna keep doing great things in your life. And you just live, honey, and be happy and accept whatever he bring your way, and just keep going. And we just want you to know we love you.
Auntie speaking truth, man. I know that was real, and you could tell Auntie a real fan of Deshaun because she watching the games, and she's saying no matter what the trash that they send you on that team, keep fighting. And keep playing the way that you can play, because it's going to get better and you're earning all of your money. But no, for real, all jokes aside, I really love that. It was a really cool moment, and that was really cute. But I don't want to bring it back. It's a really, really dope moment. But Jackie, I have a question for you though. The money was deserved. That no one here is going to fight that. But do you believe that it was the right move because of the past and because of the history that is the Houston Texans and how they have not really been taken care of or really giving Deshaun Watson much that he really deserves? Like, they haven't been beefed. They've never really beefed up his line, leading to a lot of the injuries and a lot of the small injuries he's had. They traded away his best is number one receiver and didn't really give him much. Yeah. Exactly. So for Deshaun Watson, I'm happy for the contract, but because of the team that he's going to be stuck playing with, are you with me in believing that, it's cool, but damn for Deshaun, because it would have been nice to see him go to a team where he could actually thrive, because he's definitely one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league right now?
So I think normally I would say yes, but in this instant, I'm going to say no, because in his contract, there's also a no trade clause. So I think that the fact that there's a no trade clause in his contract shows their commitment to him. So I think he's going to be able to have a little bit more say. I think that we might even see a new coach in the near future, but I think that this contract specifically that no trade clause means that we're not going to see them trading away his weapons, things of that nature. So I think I could be wrong, but I think this gives him a little bit more say, a little bit more pull, because they're not going to give him this money and a no trade clause and then set him up to fail. So I think at least I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this is going to be different. But like I said, I think we'll see some changes down the line that we can be like, okay, this makes sense.
Well, I really hope you're right, because I am a Deshaun Watson fan, but I've been team, get him out of Texas, get him out of Houston, because every year I watch them not bringing any linemen to help him, I don't know. But I hope you're right, because that's very true, because that's normally what happens when, players, because that's a hard thing for a lot of these players to agree with, unless you're on a solidified team. That no trade clause, a lot of players do not like the no trade clause unless they know that they're in a spot that they really believe in. So you're probably right. So hopefully you're right, and we'll see some changes from the Texans. But shout out to Deshaun Watson, regardless of the situation. Money is well deserved. That is not even a question at all. But moving from one cute moment, I'm sure you guys saw a little bit of a glimpse. But we got an adorable Olympia moment, because Mama Serena she had her match over the weekend. Olympia and Daddy were in the stands to watch the match, and when she saw Mama, she had to make sure she pointed it out, and Mommy saw her too, and they had a cute moment between the two. So guys, all right, okay, be ready to shed a thug tear, because this is adorable. So here's that video.
Well, she did well though. I mean, she
played
a better match today than she has been all year, and I think there's some good signs.
She's so happy. Look, oh my gosh,
she looked great. But you're right.
That. Come on, man. Gosh,
that's adorable.
Chris, I want to say the post is turning into like a kid appreciation post up.
It really is.
I'm saying.
I'm so here for it. I love it. My sister is pregnant, so the baby fever right now is like major. And the post-up adds to it.
Well, see, look, and it's making me like, I'm out here trying to, stay strong and everything like that. But man, these moments, I'm over here watching Fred VanVleet's kids, and now Olympia out here being adorable. Man, but that's adorable moment.
Another one, Chris. Is that what you're saying over
there? No. We everything's good right now.
Fantastic question. Fantastic question, Britt.
Everything is good right now.
Around April next year.
Everything is good right now. Everything is locked down over here. But I gotta say, having them it makes you soft. But anyways, we're moving off of that. Cause post up, you know what I'm talking about? Post up. Yeah, we back on post up grind. Right. Go ahead, Olympia. That's cute. But this one I want to talk about. Because the internet's torn on this next one, because we got Djokovic getting disqualified from the US Open because of I don't even know which side I'm on yet, but there was an incident that happened in one of his games where he was simply trying to hit the ball to her, but the ball went and hit her in the face. Before I move to you guys, because I want to know what you guys think hearing this news and seeing this. Do you think that I don't know. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but do you guys think that this? I'm gonna start with you, Britt. Do you think that this was intentional? Do you think that it was simply him trying to hit the ball to her and he overshot and hit her in the head, or do you think that this was something that was intentional, or do you think that homegirl overplayed it? Like, what were your thoughts on this entire thing? Because I'm still trying to piece together how I feel about this, because I don't think that he was going out of his way to hit her in the head. Like, I know he got aim, but like, come on now.
Yeah, I definitely don't think this was intentional at all. I think it's crazy that he got disqualified, and he went into this match in day 7 as undefeated in 2020, and he has won the last 6 or 5 U.S. Opens. So this year, I guess we're getting a new winner for the first time in 6 years.
Yeah.
But I don't think he did it on purpose. He has had problems with this in the past, though. He's done this on several occasions in the past. And according to the rule book, if you happen to hit any person while on that court, intentional or not intentional, they have the right to disqualify you if they want to. So they decided to do that in this moment. It's not something that's like, oh, for sure he was going to get disqualified, but they believed he should have got disqualified. I think also because it was a female line judge that probably was like, oh, you can't hit the woman, and tennis is conservative, and they always go in on Serena Williams for everything that she does. She can't even sneeze without saying that she's being aggressive. So in a sense, I'm glad to kind of see it on the other side, because the guys are allowed to be aggressive. They're allowed to yell and do this, that, and the third in tennis, and nobody blinks an eye. But as soon as Serena Williams does the same thing, she's always getting punished for it. So on one side, I'm just like, well, that's the rule, so he got to go, because if Serena did something like that, she would have to go, So I get that in that sense, but it's also just like a yawn, shaking your head moment at tennis yet again for having some of the bogus rules that they have. This one being very if it's not, it was definitely accidental. He immediately ran like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And girl, you're a line judge and there's balls flying around. You should probably pay attention.
That's for real. Pay attention. She had no idea that was coming her way. But yeah, Jackie. So so Jackie, I'm bringing that to you because Britt's right, because the rule is the rule. She got hit, so therefore they were, able to disqualify him as they did, and that's the decision that was made. But I just want to know, what do you think he was trying to do? You think he was trying to hit the ball to her? What was the end goal there that ended up with him getting hit in the face?
He was slightly upset. I don't know if you saw. I don't watch a lot of tennis, but I don't have a lot of sports to watch nowadays, so I find myself watching weird stuff. But my friend is really into tennis, so he wanted to watch the match. So we were watching the match, and he was just irritated. He was just pissed off, and it was one of those and he didn't even hit the ball that hard. That's number one. So he just kind of bounced and hit it. And the thing is I've personally, again, I don't watch tennis a lot, but I've personally seen hundreds of tennis players do this. They just get kind of mad. They hit the ball. The little ball guy comes in, runs, grabs it, and they go away. So to Britt's point, though, because I actually went and read the rule, so it is, you technically cannot do that at all. If you do that, and like I said, it's like what I did and everything is fine, it's fine. But technically, you're not supposed to hit the ball out of anger at all, because it's considered malicious. So the fact that it hit her, the rule is the rule. But for me, it was okay, it's an accident, number one. Number two, he's the main guy. So even people who don't watch tennis that much, like myself, we will watch for him because of who he is. And like Britt says, he's a win. So then I was listening to this radio broadcast this morning, and they were saying how much he lost. He's going to get fined $20,000 specifically for that hit to her neck. He's going to miss out on the $250,000 in prize money. And then the U.S. Open's going to take a hit too, because viewership is almost immediately took a dive, because people were I'm not going to watch it. So in my opinion, okay, look, I get the rule is the rule, but you can't lose that entire viewership over an accident. I think I would have let this one slide.
Yeah, but I don't know. Frustration was definitely what I gathered from it. I just want to know, because he didn't hit it hard enough where because typically you see dudes do it and they'll hit the back and it'll come back and they catch it, make it look all cool. Right. But he wafted it. So I just want to know what the thought process was. But yeah, it's a damn shame, because he's gone and that's it. The decision was made. He's disqualified. He's out. And yeah, I didn't even think about the way he's gonna be losing and all this. Like that's crazy. But well, damn. But last but not least, I want to show you guys some fan art that Rudy Gobert was not a fan of. Okay, somebody, Lil Timmy. Okay, I'm gonna put it on Lil Timmy. I'm gonna be the one to accuse Lil Timmy. Lil Timmy got a hold of a pencil and a piece of paper, and yeah, he thought that this looked like Rudy Gobert. And Rudy Gobert saw it, and he's like, someone really let his son do this to me. Now, if I was the LA Rams Twitter account, I would respond saying, tell me about it, ... Because Lil Timmy strikes again because, oh boy, look at it. Like I appreciate anything that's given my way. Fan art's great and whatnot, but man, that looks like the next kind of like creepypasta. That look like the Slender Man. Like that look like something else that we're going to see. Even worse. What? Look like Quasimodo. Look even worse. Oh,
maybe it's the zombie apocalypse, Rudy Gobert. Maybe this is him after he gets bitten.
Is it Rudy with COVID or something? What is happening right now?
No, COVID does not do that to your face.
Is it confirmed? Is it confirmed, Jackie? We don't know. We don't know for sure. But on that note,
French, so you know. Rudy Gobert.
Oh, God.
It's all Quasimodo. Yeah, well, on that note, I'm leaving you guys with that, and that's the end of Post Up.
Quasimodo. He's like, how did I get in this?
Thank you for that. All I did was ring the dang bell and talk to Esmeralda.
Right. Like, come on.
All right, you guys. Well, Jackie, this is the perfect transition to what we not going to do, because I think that's a great what we not going to do is draw athletes looking like they're creatures from the lake or something. Anyway, tell us what we not going to do. Yes.
All right, guys. All right. So usually in what we not going to do, I talk about things that are confusing to me. And I think today is no different, because what we not going to do is do dirt and put it on social media. But to that effect, let me just say this. A lot of people, I always say that there's a reason why people in the league, whether it's the NBA or NFL, it's the reason why they recycle the same girls, because they know the rules, they know what to do, they know what not to do. So like I said, what we not going to do is get on the phone with a star soccer player or football player and then post that to Snapchat. That's not what we're going to do. But if you didn't know, Phil Foden, who is 20, and Mason Greenwood, who is 18, have bbeen dropped from the England squad after breaching the quarantine rules. Both of these two young men are stars on the football team. And just this is it, guys. Okay, so they get on the phone. Let me just break down this story. They get on the phone with this Instagram model in Iceland. So that's fun for me, because I didn't know Instagram models were worldwide like that in Iceland. But yeah, so they get on the phone with this Instagram model in Iceland. She actually posts the whole conversation to Snapchat. You can hear Phil on the phone, and then she goes into the hotel and posts these pictures of him and Mason. I don't think any of us are surprised that these two young men did this. I think what we're surprised at is that they didn't tell the girl, hey, keep this on the hush hush, keep this on the low. We're not supposed to do it. I just think it's super weird. But the woman who posted the photos and the video is 19-year-old Laura Clausen. She said that she had no idea who the guys were. She said, honestly, with all my conscience, I did not realize how famous these guys were. I do not watch football and have never done. She also said she didn't realize that Phil had a girlfriend. She said, I feel really bad for his girl and his teammates. And she said she now knows that she can't post everything on the internet. Phil issued an apology as well. It was really long, but it's its standard. This is not who you guys know the drill. So I'm not going to read that to you, but I do have questions. If she didn't know who they were, why just go to some random hotel with some guys that you admit that you didn't know? If you just random dude that works at the mall could get you to go to a hotel? No, I feel like she knew who they were in order to get to the hotel room. That's number one. Number two, in this pandemic, how are you guys in a hotel where only half the hotel is quarantined? Because I feel like even if they didn't call these girls in, that they could have seen some little hot mama over on the other side, and they could have still ventured off to the other side. I don't feel like this is the best situation to put these athletes in, especially young athletes. But then I also think that, okay, you have to make sure it doesn't happen. It's obviously the kids' responsibility because, it's their job to keep themselves and their teammates safe. But at some point, are we going to put a little bit of the blame on the organization for just giving them this free hotel where anybody can get in and out of? Devin, what do you think?
I feel like the blame needs to be placed on both sides. I'd like to think that professional athletes are, smart enough to not jeopardize their career for a night with a girl. But of course, we've seen it happen time and time again. But I also do think that the organization needs to make sure that it's like the bubble, the bubble. Right. Yes, people can sneak girls into the NBA bubble, but it's going to be a lot harder in a place like that than it is at just a standard hotel where half of the guests are normal traveling guests and the other half are football players or soccer players, whatever. So I don't know. For me, I think that ultimately you have to be responsible for yourself. So these guys really, they did know better and they should have acted better, but I'm not going to say that the organization isn't at fault a little bit as well.
Yeah, because I feel like if somebody over there could have gotten wind that the soccer team was over there and they could have tried to sneak in, because it can't be, if it's not the whole thing is locked down, it can't be that hard to get into. So I just think when you have 18 and 20-year-olds on your team, you got to kind of plan accordingly. It's not like these are seasoned vets who don't want to, they're still feeling like they're invincible and they can do no wrong. So I don't know. I definitely think, especially if you got a girlfriend, you should be held a little bit more responsible, but you're 20 with a girlfriend. I don't know how much that counts. But anyway, so let's move on to this next one. Because this next one, I'm just a little curious as to when an opportunity trumps big money. So if you don't know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have signed free agent quarterback Josh Rosen to their practice squad. He just finished 2 years after being on a one and done with the Cardinals and the Dolphins. But his contract with the Dolphins would have paid him considerably more than he's getting paid to be with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He still had 2 years left. I think he would have got $2.1 million this year and $3 million next year if he would have finished out his contract. So that's about $5 million, give or take. I don't know the exact number, but give or take, he's losing out on $5 million. And he signed a 1-year practice squad contract for $142,000 a year. So I don't know about you guys, but what I'm not going to do is lose out on millions of dollars when I haven't proven myself in this league. And this league is very much a what have you done for me lately to get on the practice squad. Now, his justification is I'm getting on a practice squad where I can get some stability. I'm going to be playing alongside the great Tom Brady. Maybe I can learn some stuff. And then, with the way this, their depth chart is pretty trash too. They have, I think, Blaine, their depth chart is trash. I can't remember who they, Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Griffin. So technically, if something does happen to Tom Brady, which is possible, he's 42, I think almost 43 now. So it's possible then he could move up. But I think I'm just going to take the money personally. Chris, what do you think? Are you going to try to take a job that could potentially give you some stability and be around some greats that you can learn from? Or are you going to kind of realize you haven't lived up to the hype since you went 10th round in 2018 anyway, and just get your money and get out?
Well, I guess that more depends on the kind of player that you want to be. Are you mailing it in as early as he would be mailing it in because he's still very young? Or do you believe that you just want to be that quarterback that you think you can be? I mean, look at the teams that he played for. The development on both those teams are not great or were not great at the times that he was there. So to be honest, if it was me, because I would like a long career and not just living as back, even though living as a backup quarterback in the NFL can pay pretty well. I mean, as you just talked about the other contract he could have had. But yeah, going there for a team where he could easily be the second best quarterback and have Tom Brady there at all times, even though he is on the practice squad, but to know you have Tom Brady so you can get something off of, learn stuff from Tom Brady, have his number, hopefully, if it's that close of a quarterback squad. Honestly, I'm more so I want to be a better player to stay in the league longer. So yeah, I would make that decision just like he did, to be completely honest. But if I knew I was trash and some team offered me that kind of money, then maybe I'll take that choice. But I think it's too early for Josh Rosen to mail it in, and I think that's probably the best for his career long term.
Okay. Do you think Tom
It's a good
Brady's
team,
going to be
though.
that guy, though, and pass down? He does not seem the guy that's like, let me take you under my wing, especially since you took this pay cut and you obviously want to be
Right.
here.
Right. I think
I
he's
don't
more
see
of a
that happening.
watch me learn, kid. Watch me learn, kid kind of thing. I
Yeah.
think he'll show it and he'll be there for him. But I don't think he's gonna go out of his way and be like, Josh, come to lunch with me. We'll talk about this. No, it's just like watch what I do, kid, and you'll learn some things from me. And I think that's more than enough for Josh Rosen.
Well, oddly enough, I will be following this one because if this don't make, my mom used to say, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And this one does not make the dollars. So I'm going to be watching this to see if he can make it make sense. But that's all I got for what we not going to do. And now it is time for Brit's Takes.
Brit's Takes.
All right, guys, it is time for Brit's Take. Today, I'm going to kind of go back to a sad moment that happened over the weekend and try to make it really happy. Obviously, Jackie just gave a great example of, a guy and what he had to do and figure out with his situation in the NFL. We're going to keep talking about that same kind of energy. So Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, many players' dreams of playing in the NFL were either died at that moment, or they were at least just put on pause after they were told they did not make the 53-man roster. Yes, Saturday was known as cut day in the NFL. Some of those players shortly after were either picked up by another team, joined a practice squad with the team that they were doing camp with, or even with another team. But honestly, most of them were sent home wondering if they would ever get a chance to play in the NFL for the first time ever or ever again. Over 600 players were originally invited to camp that actually are not going to be playing this season. So yes, we have the couple thousand that made it into the league or playing or whatever, but over 600 players are now without a job that went into this season with a training camp. So that is a lot of guys that are wondering what they're going to do next. What should they do? Should they just work out for a whole nother year and hope they get a chance to get picked up by a team at some point, or what? Because we have, especially during COVID, this is unprecedented times because there are a lot of guys that now aren't even playing in college ball that are going to be up next year going up against those guys too, and then not even making it this year on a practice squad, let alone a team, is a lot. But we have some great words from Jason Wright, who we all recently talked about, and we didn't know much about him when he played in the NFL himself. He did play in the NFL for a while as a running back, but he was not like a star player. He was just an average kind of player. But now he is the president of the Washington football team. More importantly, he is the first Black president in NFL history. He took to his social media account after this moment because he obviously has to, join those guys in saying, hey, you're not going to play on our team this, that, and third. But he kind of just wanted to talk to all players and give them a little bit of encouragement. Leo, if you have that quote, we can throw it up. He said, I was cut 8 times. After so much athletic success in your life, it's jarring to be released. As I see young men walking out with their heads held high, I know they are building a unique resilience today that will last a lifetime. Respect and well wishes to you all across the league. And then from there, several players actually decided to comment and share their story on his post. You can throw that tweet back up because I'm going to get into that right now. So this player said his experience, saying, I remember at 22, I had a narrow view of my future, thinking I was going to play in the NFL for a long time. By 25, I was cut multiple times, jobless, and had an unfinished degree. Grateful to say that I failed forward and am now pursuing my passion of becoming a sports psychologist. So he was just one of the many players that kind of tagged along and reposted what Jason Wright had originally said and shared their stories of, the NFL is not the end all be all of my life. You're young. These guys are so young and they kind of feel like, okay, all I did, like I always remember Friday Night Lights, Boobie Miles. What am I supposed to do without football? I don't know how to do anything but play football. Like I cry every time I see that moment, because, and not just because he got injured and his career is never going to be the same for football, but because there's so many players that are in this world that across sports, not just football, across all sports, that literally feel like they are nothing if they cannot do that sport. Like they have nothing else to give to this world besides whatever they can do on a football field or a basketball court. And it is really sad that they have those thoughts and feelings, because we have seen some guys do great things. We talked earlier at the beginning of COVID time about Myron Rolle, who actually played it with the Tennessee Titans as a safety for a couple years, and his career didn't work out. He got cut. What did he decide to do? He decided to now become a neurosurgeon. And during COVID, he has stepped away from his personal practice to focus on helping people with COVID right now. So there are tons of situations. We can go on and on about guys like we just talked again too about Dwayne Johnson, who literally won a national championship with the Miami Hurricanes in college, and then went on to play in the CFL, where he was placed on the CFL practice squad. 2 months later, he got cut from the practice squad, and then decided a year later to go into wrestling. And now, what do we know Dwayne Johnson as today? Well, he was just ranked the highest paid actor right now. He is also a producer, created a great show called Ballers that everybody loves that comes on HBO, I believe. And then also, not only did he get cut from a football team, he now owns a football league. So let's not forget that these players especially, don't forget, if you guys are a young athlete and you're trying to, play sport or whatever you're not just football. Yes, we have those, people that try to drum in your head, oh, stick to football, you only know sports, and just dribble a basketball. We hear this rhetoric over and over again, but we all know that that is not the truth. That's not the case. A lot of these athletes are way more than whatever they can do on a football field or a basketball court. So yes, I say every year, I get so sad during cut time. I know tonight I'm going to get really sad because it'll be the cut episode for Hard Knocks, and we're going to have to see all these players, dreams go away. But this is a little temporary dream that you have. There's going to be bigger things that are going to come to you, and you are going to do great things in your life, regardless of if it's on a football field or not. And even there's guys that have done great things on a football field, like Michael Strahan, who then left football after playing as a 7-time Pro Bowler. He's a Hall of Fame guy, won a Super Bowl, this, that, and the third. And now, what is it? He doesn't have anything to really do with sports in half of his career anymore. He does literally talk shows now that my grandma knows more about Michael Strahan than I do. And because she watched him on Strahan and Sarah, and now on Strahan, or Kelly Ripa's one, and now on Strahan, Sarah, and Kiki, in Good Morning America. He is known by everybody all over the country now. And it has nothing to do with football, So there are so many people that do so many great things. Vince Young too, I did want to mention, because he played in one of my favorite college games of all time. You guys know the national championship between USC and Texas. And then he did his first couple seasons that he had in the NFL were good. He was a 2-time Pro Bowler. His rookie season was outstanding, was great. And then he fell off. And then everybody clowned him for so long about being a terrible quarterback and this, that, and the third. And they all knew he wasn't going to be a great quarterback in the league, all this kind of stuff. And now he is working, he does diversity development and engagement for University of Texas, where he started his, stardom of football career, So there are so many things that these guys can do. And I know it's a sad moment. Cut day is always really sad, but I think we should really start to change the rhetoric we have around these athletes and stop making it like these athletes can only do that. And we need to do that from a young age, because it is very young age that these players are told that they can only do football, or the only way to be a successful person is on a football field or on a basketball court. My question is going to be to you, Devin. Do you think at a young age we emphasize sports too much? And if so, how can we combat this?
So I totally see what you're saying about putting too much emphasis on sports for a lot of young kids. I know that a lot of parents are like, you're going to be the next best soccer player, the next best football player, or whatever. And it can be very intense. And I think it's important to have like direction and guidance from parents who are encouraging you to work towards a dream or a goal. But I've also been a big believer in developing skills outside of whatever that passion is, and making sure that you're good at a couple different things just in case things don't go as planned, or in case you want to dive into something different. So I don't know. I think that it's finding a balance in both. When I was growing up, I did cheerleading, but I also did dance and gymnastics and musical theater. And my parents were always encouraging me to like do a bunch of different things so that I had options if it didn't go as planned or if I changed my mind. So I think that this could actually be a cool opportunity for a lot of these athletes to find out what else they're passionate about and what else they're interested in, although it is probably devastating for a lot of them right now. But I think I agree with you. We have to be careful to not be too intense on kids because they're just figuring their lives out.
Yeah. I think it was very powerful how Jason Wright started this thread and continued on, because we don't really hear those stories a lot. Because yes, we see the Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and Michael Strahan in the limelight, but there are also tons of other athletes that don't necessarily do it in the limelight after they're done. So people just think that they were not successful after they stopped playing football, which is why I thought it was important when we did the story about Myron Rolle and how he was able, now he's a neurosurgeon and stuff like that, because we don't really hear those stories. So I thought it was cool to see these former athletes kind of start this on Twitter to let all the guys that got cut now, like, hey, football's I actually am more successful now that I'm not playing football. I'm a doctor. I'm a psychologist. I'm this, that, and that. That was a really cool moment. But that's going to be it for Brit's Take today. Remember, just because you got cut from this doesn't mean that's your only dream you're ever going to have in life.
Exactly. Preach. All right, you guys. Well, that wraps up the show for the day. We are going to be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as usual. So make sure you tune in and ring that bell so you know exactly when we are going live. Be nice to somebody today. Do a good deed. Wear a mask and wash those hands. We'll see you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.